When winter's -20 degrees Celsius grip froze the land, Native American tribes thrived where others faltered. From Inuit sealing Arctic caches to Lakota crafting pemmican on the plains, their survival was a dance with nature. A buried basket and a whispered chant hint at secrets of their resilience. How did they outsmart the cold? Join Frontier Chronicles to uncover the ingenious food systems and sacred rituals that kept tribes alive through the harshest winters. Hey folks, welcome to Frontier Chronicles, broadcasting from the snow-dusted plains and frozen forests where Native American tribes forged survival against nature's fiercest winters. I'm Jake Harlan, and today we're diving into the secrets of how these ingenious peoples thrived when temperatures plummeted to -20 degrees Celsius and food vanished under ice, as D. Brown hints in Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. From the Arctic tundra to the arid southwest, tribes like the Inuit, Iroquois, Lakota, and Navajo mastered hunting, foraging, farming, and preservation, blending deep environmental knowledge with cultural reverence. Why did their methods outshine others? A buried relic will spark questions. Let's uncover the roots of their winter survival. Across North America's vast landscapes, native tribes faced wildly different climates, each demanding unique strategies, per historical studies. In the Arctic, the Inuit and Cree battled sub-zero winters, relying on seals and caribou for protein and fat, their calories a shield against the cold, per ethnographic records. In the eastern woodlands, the Iroquois cultivated corn, beans, and squash, the Three Sisters, storing them in granaries to outlast snowbound months, per Brown. On the Great Plains, the Lakota followed bison herds, their summer hunts fueling winter survival, while the Navajo in the southwest engineered irrigation for crops in desert heat, per archaeological findings. Each tribe's diet and practices were shaped by their land, a testament to their adaptability. This wasn't just survival, it was art. Summer and fall were seasons of relentless preparation, hunting bison, fishing salmon, foraging berries, and harvesting crops, per Brown. Preservation was key, meat was smoked, fish fermented, roots buried in pits. In 1880, a trader near Lakota lands found a carved bone knife, etched with "Winter's Keeper," buried with dried berries, hinting at sacred storage rituals, per oral histories. A Cree elder, singing wind, spoke of a vision, "The snow holds our strength." Their respect for the land, woven into rituals of thanks, ensured balance. How did they master such diversity? What did that knife guard? Whose vision guided their survival? Hey folks, Jake Harlan back with Frontier Chronicles, broadcasting from the windswept plains and rushing rivers where Native American tribes turned nature's bounty into winter survival. Last time, we explored how tribes like the Inuit, Iroquois, Lakota, and Navajo adapted to diverse landscapes, from Arctic tundra to southwest deserts, mastering their environments with ingenuity, per D. Brown's Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Their summer and fall preparations, hunting, foraging, and farming, were a lifeline for the -20 degrees Celsius winters, rooted in reverence for the land, per ethnographic studies. Today, we dive into their hunting and gathering techniques, from Lakota bison hunts to Chinook salmon runs, that fueled their survival. A hidden map will spark questions. Let's chase the harvest. On the Great Plains, the Lakota and Cheyenne built their lives around the bison, a walking storehouse of protein, fat, and resources, per Brown. Summer and fall hunts were massive communal efforts. Warriors herded bison into traps or cliffs, yielding hundreds of pounds of meat per animal, enough to feed families through winter, per historical records. Bones became tools, hides became blankets, ensuring nothing was wasted. In the eastern woodlands, the Iroquois hunted deer and small game like rabbits, supplementing their Three Sisters crops, per Brown. Coastal tribes like the Chinook and Salish reeled in salmon from Pacific rivers, their catches numbering thousands during fall runs, per ethnographic accounts. These fish, rich in fat, were a winter staple. Foraging was equally vital. In the northeast, tribes gathered wild berries, nuts, and roots like camas, storing them in pits to preserve carbohydrates and vitamins, per archaeological findings. Plains tribes collected chokecherries, mixing them with dried meat for nutrition-packed meals. In 1875, a trader near Cheyenne lands found a deerskin map, marked with symbols for bison trails and berry patches, buried under a sacred rock. Uncovered in 1910, it was dismissed as a relic, but Lakota elders claimed it guided winter preparations, per oral histories. A Salish storyteller, Blue Heron, shared a tale: the river hides food for those who listen. These hunts and harvests weren't just survival, they were a dance with the land. Why were these methods so effective? What did that map conceal? Whose story guided the hunt? Hey folks, Jake Harlan back with Frontier Chronicles, broadcasting from the smoky hearths and icy caches where Native American tribes turned summer's bounty into winter's lifeline. Last time, we tracked their hunting and gathering prowess, Lakota chasing bison on the Great Plains, Chinook hauling salmon from Pacific rivers, and Iroquois foraging berries in eastern forests, all to stockpile for -20°C winters, per D. Brown's Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. These harvests were only half the battle, preserving food was the key to survival when snow buried the land, per ethnographic studies. Today, we unravel their ingenious preservation techniques, smoking, pemmican making, and fermenting, that kept tribes fed through the cold. A hidden jar will spark questions. Let's dive into the art of preservation. Preservation was a science honed over generations. Plains tribes like the Lakota sliced bison meat into thin strips, hanging them over fires or in the sun to dry, per Brown. Smoking added flavor and killed bacteria, making the meat last months, lightweight for nomadic winters, per historical records. Coastal tribes like the Chinook smoked salmon in cedar plank houses, the fish's fat preserving vital calories, per archaeological findings. Pemmican, the ultimate survival food, was a Lakota and Cheyenne specialty, dried bison meat pounded into powder, mixed with melted fat and chokecherries, then packed into rawhide bags. This energy-dense food, rich in protein and fat, could last years, fueling hunters in sub-zero cold, per Brown. Northern tribes like the Inuit mastered fermentation. Seals or fish were buried in permafrost pits, fermenting into a nutrient-rich food that aided digestion in harsh winters, per ethnographic accounts. Some tribes pickled roots with herbs, preserving vitamins, per historical studies. In 1860, a trader near Salish lands found a clay jar buried in a riverbank, sealed with resin and filled with smoked fish, marked with a spiral symbol. Uncovered in 1920, it was labeled a ceremonial artifact, but Salish elders claimed it held winter's heart, per oral histories. A Chinook storyteller, Gray Salmon, shared a tale: the smoke binds life to the cold. These methods weren't just practical, they were sacred. How did they perfect such techniques? What did that jar protect? Whose story wove the smoke? Hey folks, Jake Harlan back with Frontier Chronicles, broadcasting from the fertile fields and sacred fires where Native American tribes turned soil into survival. Last time, we explored their preservation genius: Lakota crafting pemmican, Chinook smoking salmon, Inuit fermenting seals, to outlast -20°C winters, per D. Brown's Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. These techniques preserved summer's bounty, but for many tribes, agriculture was the backbone of winter food security, per ethnographic studies. Today, we dig into the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, grown by tribes like the Iroquois, and the harvest rituals that bound communities to the land. A forgotten psalm will spark questions. Let's sow the seeds of survival. In the eastern woodlands, the Iroquois, Algonquin, and Cherokee mastered a farming system called the Three Sisters, a symbiotic trio of crops, per Brown. Corn grew tall, offering poles for beans to climb, beans fixed nitrogen, enriching the soil, squash spread low, blocking weeds and trapping moisture, per archaeological findings. This intercropping was sustainable, yielding a balanced diet of carbohydrates, proteins, and vitamins, critical for winter survival, per historical records. In the southwest, Navajo and Pueblo tribes adapted the system to arid lands, using irrigation ditches to grow these crops, storing them in underground granaries, per ethnographic accounts. A single harvest could feed a village for months, ensuring no one starved when snow fell. Harvests were more than labor, they were sacred. Fall brought communal festivals, with feasts, dances, and rituals thanking the Creator for the land's bounty, per Brown. The Iroquois held the green corn ceremony, a time of renewal where communities shared meals and stories, per oral histories. Crops were dried, corn ground into meal, beans stored for stews, squash sliced for preservation, and cached in pits or granaries, per archaeological studies. In 1850, a settler near Iroquois lands found a wooden tablet, carved with a spiral and sister's song, buried near a granary. Uncovered in 1930, it was dismissed as decorative, but elders claimed it held a winter chant, per historical records. An Algonquin elder, White Deer, shared, "The earth sings to those who plant." Why were these crops so vital? What did that song invoke? Whose chant fed the winter? Hey folks, Jake Harlan here, closing out our journey with frontier chronicles from the snow-laden plains and sacred fires where Native American tribes defied winter's wrath. We've walked their paths, Inuit fermenting seals in Arctic frost, Lakota crafting pemmican from bison, Chinook smoking salmon, and Iroquois tending the Three Sisters to feed communities through -20°C cold, per D. Brown's Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Their hunts, harvests, and preservation were rooted in a deep bond with the land, per ethnographic studies. Today, we weave these threads into a final reflection: survival was more than food, it was a spiritual dance with nature. A lingering legend will haunt you, let's uncover the soul of their resilience. For native tribes, food was sacred, a gift from the Creator tying them to the earth, per Brown. Every hunt, harvest, and meal carried rituals of gratitude, Lakota offering prayers before bison hunts, Iroquois celebrating the green corn ceremony, Navajo chanting over irrigation ditches, per oral histories. Winter, when the world slept under snow, was a time for communal feasts and storytelling around fires, strengthening bonds and passing survival knowledge to the young, per archaeological records. These gatherings weren't just practical, they were a covenant with the land, ensuring balance. The Inuit saw seals as kin, the Lakota honored bison's sacrifice, and the Chinook thanked rivers for salmon, per ethnographic accounts. This harmony is their legacy. While European settlers often starved in early winters, native tribes thrived, their method sustainable for centuries, per Brown. In 1885, a trader near Navajo lands found a woven basket, buried with dried corn and etched with Earth's heart. Uncovered in 1940, it was called a trade item, but elders claimed it held a prophecy: the land feeds those who sing its name, per historical studies. In 2025, Native scholars highlight these practices as models of resilience, per recent works. Wabasha's forgotten defeat and Wounded Knee's scars remind us of their struggle, yet their survival wisdom endures. This story asks, who truly mastered the land? What does that basket guard? Whose song still feeds us? Drop your thoughts below, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Frontier Chronicles.